I'm Tony Schumacher, the writer of Responder, and this is Be Inspired for BBC Writers. It's a very, very long time ago. It's like once upon a time, Tony wanted to be a writer. And about 1842, when I was a kid, I really wanted to be a writer. And I used to love writing stories at school, and the only class I was interested in was English. That was all I wanted to do. And then I failed my English O-level or GCSE. I thought that was it. And, never going to be a writer. And then 30 odd years later, I'm driving a cab for a living after having a nervous breakdown and quitting the police. And a lady got in the cab and she said to me, she was an editor of a magazine. And I just said, I'm a writer. And I don't know why I said it, but I just said it. And now I look back at it and I think, I kind of wasn't lying really. I think I'd always been a writer, I just hadn't written anything. You know, I think hopefully that's been borne out with 3 novels and Responder. But she was like, oh, send me some stuff and I'll have a read of it. So then I had to go away and actually start writing again. But it was fantastic. It was like someone just sort of, took the finger out of the dam, and suddenly all this stuff just flew out of me, and it was great. So there was I was a writer, there was a 30-year hiatus, and then suddenly I was a writer again, and I think I'm almost qualified now to say that's what I am. I might go back and get my O-level at some point, I don't know. It has to be. I always say this, and people must be sick of listening to it, but it's still by far and away my favourite scene, which is in episode 1, and it's Chris and Marco in the police car driving along. One, I love it because it's beautifully shot. It's lovely. It's in the dark. It sums up what being a cop is so much about, which is, you and the person you've arrested or the person who you're with, and that small little fish tank environment. So I love that. I love that they captured that so beautifully. Tim Mealing's the director. But also what I love about it is it was the first scene that I wrote, and it was me talking to me. I wrote it as an exercise, which was me being a copper later in life and me being a scally earlier in life, sitting in the back of the car. So it's very much a conversation between me, and that's what it's by far and away my favourite scene. I think for me, it's very important. I think for my writing, it's very important. But I do sort of take umbrage with people when they say, oh, well, you've got all that life experience. People, somebody who's 21 hasn't got that life experience. But they probably just got a better imagination than I have, So I think for me it was important. But I don't think life experience is important for everyone. I don't believe in write what you know. I believe in write what you can imagine. And I think people should just enjoy writing. You shouldn't wait to start writing. You shouldn't think, right, okay, I'm going to wait until I've been in the police for 13 years and I've had a nervous breakdown. If you can miss that out, don't do that bit. It's rubbish. Just do the bit that I'm doing now, which is great. With Series 2, the themes that I wanted to explore and expand upon that were important to me was relationships and love. I think every show, literally every show, it should be Thomas the Tank Engine, right the way up to something like The Sopranos, is about love and relationships. It's the whole thing for me. And so it's not a crime show, it's a show about those issues. And for me, being a father of a 2.5-year-old, I was really interested in Chris's struggle with being a good dad and holding that in relation to his struggle with how his dad wasn't a good dad, and his fears about that, and his fears about carrying that kind of that mark on him, that he's terrified that he's going to pass those bad things on to his daughter Tilly. So that was the themes that I really wanted to look at: fatherhood, love, and relationships. They're, to me, the most important things. God, I wish I knew. I just wish I knew, because it resonated all around the world. And I'm still getting stopped today, people talking about season 1 who probably are unaware that season 2 is coming. I don't know. It just kind of caught fire and took off. And I think because Everyone was expecting it to be one thing, and it turned out that it wasn't. Everyone thought it was going to be Line of Duty. I love Line of Duty, but it's not Line of Duty, you know. And everyone thought, well, if it isn't Line of Duty, it'll be something like The Build from years ago. And it wasn't that either. It's just a programme about people, and I think people are interested in people. So it can only be that. It was massively important to me that it was set in Liverpool. If only because the way I wrote it was very much using the rhythms of speech and the people, you know, the people in the show, you know, they're almost real. Well, they are real to me, but they're almost real. You know, I've literally just been chatting to someone outside this venue and they could have been in the show. You know, so it was very important to me that I got those people in the show. And also, I love this city, you know, it means a lot to me, like, and it's nice to do something, you know, in your hometown. So it was really important to me. And I think as well, it gives it an identity that maybe it wouldn't have had if it was set in, I don't know, Hemel Hempstead. I'd like to see that show, actually. I might write that show next. Hemel Hempstead Responder. I don't know. I just do it. I hope I do it. Anyway, season 2 is coming out soon. I think what I do, personally what I do, is if I'm writing a scene, I don't just write a scene between two people. Say if I've got two people, I've got one standing here and I've got one standing there, and information is passing between them, you know that thing, what should the scene do? Pass information. When I've written that scene, I'll often, and it's hard to explain, but I'll come round behind this character and I'll try and move into their head. It's mad. This is what I'm doing at 3 in the morning. It's crazy. I'll move into their head and I'll look at the other character through their eyes. So I've got all the information, it's all there, but I'll look at that other person and I'll see, when I run that scene again in my head, I'm trying to see if there's anything in it between them that I can use. It's you know, and build on it might be something about their appearance. Look at the state of you, where have you been? It's a bit of human language, you know. It's a bit of, it makes it, and then when I've done that, I'll come around the other side. You know, there is, and look through the other character's eyes, but there is this thing about, like, you know, your scene's got to convey information. Get it to convey the information. If it's not conveying information, it shouldn't be. That's what people would say. They're probably right, but I don't necessarily think that's true. I think there's always space for scene where you don't have to convey as much information as what people say. And sometimes no words are better than other words. You know, people think to make a compelling character, they've got to say a lot. Chris Carson in the show, Martin's character, doesn't really say that much. You know, he doesn't pass much information on. So sometimes, you know, the compelling nature of the character is in the silence as well, and what they're doing with the hands, or maybe where they're sitting, or what they're looking at, you know. So, like, me essentially get in their head, get behind their eyes, and look at the world through their eyes. Literally try and look at the world through their eyes. Weirdly, no. I was expecting it to be, and everyone talks about the difficult second album syndrome and all that kind of stuff. But I genuinely think I'm just too stupid to get stressed about it. So it was literally just do it again. Just do it again. And that was it. You know, so we just went into the room and just did it again. When I was a cop, very, very, very early on in my career, Bobby said to me that we're never, ever going to knock on someone's door and tell them they've won the lottery. You're only ever dealing with strong emotions and dark emotions. You know, it's very rare that you just have a bland day, a boring day. Everything is always very heightened. And the minute that you heighten life, any kind of drama that you're writing about it is exaggerated again, and that's heightened further. So for me, it was, it's such fertile ground for plucking stories out. You know, I don't know if you pluck things out of fertile ground. Pulling stories out of, you know, it's perfect for it. It's like big emotions. You know, and that's what you want in a drama. What is my favourite part of being a writer? Aside from the fact that it pays me mortgage, my favourite part of being a writer is I've got an office in Liverpool, in kind of a quiet part of Liverpool city centre. And my favourite part is at 3 in the morning, sitting on my own, just writing. And every now and then, you know, you have these moments every now and then where you'll punch the air. I mean, literally, I'll punch the air sometimes because I know I've written something all right, you know. I know, oh God, that's great, you know. And it might never see the light of day, but just that moment's like scoring a goal, and that's my favourite part. Middle of the night, just me, and that is the best job in the world, I think. You've just got to do it. I mean, it's so trite, you know, it's such a horrible answer, but you've just got to do it. But I have a little trick, I suppose, which might, I don't know, it might help people, but what I tend to do, say if I've written to like page 10 on the first draft, the next day when I sit down to write, I'll go back to page 5. So it's almost like a second draft by the time I get to page 60, if you know what I mean. I've gone over, like, so I'll go back, start again, go back, start again. And I'll do that, just maybe 5-8 pages I'll go back. And that also has the benefit of, you know, I'll lose 2 hours of writing time, but I won't, because that draft will feel sharper than it just being a first draft. But also what I find is by the time I get to the stepping off point to start writing new stuff, I've got like a lovely bit of inertia up, you know, and I'm moving forward, like, and that helps me like keep pushing through. So go back, go forward. That's my thing, you know. I experience self-doubt as everything, as a driver, as a dog walker, as a man who opens a tin of beans. I'm constantly self-doubt, you know. So when, by the time I've got to write it, my God, I'm just already self-doubting from about 3 months ago. Yeah, constantly, absolutely constantly. But I think when you're a writer, that's a good thing, because you're questioning yourself. And if you're questioning yourself constantly, you should be questioning your characters and your plot and everything else. Because like, if you were so certain, you'd just go and write something, and it'd probably be all right. But if you're doubting it while you're writing it, it should never get in the way of actually writing. But if you're doubting it while you're writing, it means you're questioning what you're doing. And I think that that's a good thing. I think you should question what you're doing, because that way you're constantly checking if it's good enough. So I do, but I kind of think it's all right. It's not great when you're opening a tin of beans, though. Just open the beans. It's hard, really. Do I? I suppose I do. But I tend to think it's more procrastination than block. You know, I think I'll think, oh, I'm blocked today, I can't do anything. You know, I'm going to read The Guardian for 4 hours. Whereas, like, I'd be better off just writing rubbish. Just write rubbish. Doesn't matter you're writing. And there'll always be, it doesn't matter what you write, be it good, bad or indifferent. As long as you're self-reflective, it'll be good for you. You know what I mean? You'll get to be a better writer at the end of it. So, I'm going to say yeah, but I'm going to say not for long. Because I do tend to do other things, or I'll just write rubbish and just keep going forward. There's one, I'll tell you now, and it's such an important tip that I wish I'd known all those years ago, which is don't get in your own way. I keep saying this over and over and over again. It's the one thing that stops writers more than any other thing is themselves. Get out your way. Start writing. You know, we talk about self-doubt, and we talk about block, and we talk about confidence and stuff. It's all you. You've just got to write it. You know, don't think, oh, I've got to buy a new notepad. Don't, you know, I'm guilty of all of this. I am absolutely guilty. I've got about 20 brand new notepads on my desk, you know. So I'm guilty of it, and that's why I can speak with a degree of confidence. You know, if I had a new laptop, I'd definitely be able to finish this thing. Just write it. Honestly, it doesn't matter if a couple of letters are missing. Just write it. Get out your way. Stop telling yourself that, you know, I don't know how to format a script. Go and write it. Just write this. It doesn't matter if the format's wrong. Stop telling yourself that, you know, because I haven't got fade in or I haven't got final draft. Doesn't matter. Just go and write the script. It's get out your own way. That's my top tip. Start writing. Jimmy McGovern. You're gonna get writing advice. Do you know what I mean? Go to the boss. But Jimmy said to me, write you. And at the time, I kind of thought he meant just write my story, you know, just write my story. But as time's gone on, and maybe he did mean that, and I've kind of over-elaborated it, but I think what he was saying was, write what you feel is right. Don't write what you think will be a hit, or don't write what you think people are looking for. It's write you. Write what you want to write. Don't try and tailor your work to the current crop of television shows or films. Just write you, be you, you're individual, you're unique, go and write you. I mean, we've seen with Mr. Bates in the post office, you know, we've seen, and it's not just recently as well, you know, Kathy Come Home or Boys in the Black stuff. TV drama is massive. It's massive. It moves planets, TV drama. It's the right TV drama. You know, something like Squid Game, you know, come out of South Korea and went all around the world. And it's about poverty. It's mad. It's about poverty. It's fantastic. You know, it made people think about these issues. It's hugely important, massively important. It's a nuclear bomb where nobody gets killed. It's the best thing in the world, and if it's done right, yeah. I think because I'm old, most of mine are all dead, but there's people like Dennis Potter, Alan Bleasdale's not dead, Jimmy McGovern. You know, you can't, there's a man who's so pure and true and genuine, you know, and passionate, and he's retained that passion for decades now. But I think for me, Dennis Potter would be the one who I'd point to first. I think some of the stuff he did was so exciting and new and stands up to today as absolute genius. So I'll probably go with Dennis Potter. I'm going to say, you know, I'm guessing that anyone who asked this question would say Sopranos. That one's definitely going with me. I think something like, you know, I'm going to cheat here a little bit, but I loved 70s New York drama. So I'm going to say, it's a compendium, nobody's made it, right? But this is my box set. It's going to be a 70s New York drama compendium. There's so many great shows, you know, Kojak, and it doesn't have to just drama, either. It can be comedy, Road, Hill Street Blues, all these amazing shows that were set in New York. And finally, it's a bit of a weird one, this, because I don't watch soaps all that much, but if I had the chance, I would love to take a box set of early Coronation Street. I think what they did, it was probably, you know, the most groundbreaking television ever in the UK. So I'd probably go with that early black and white Coronation Street stuff that was out before I was born, but I see clips of it and the writing is so great and the characterisation so textured and it's beautiful, you know. So I'd love to take that. And I've never written for a soap, and I'm such a hypocrite because I don't watch a ton of them. But I do believe they're important. One, because they're a great platform for new writers. I think it's brilliant, you know. It's an opportunity even to just sit in a room. You know, you might not get an episode out of it, but if you're sitting in a room where telly's getting made, I think that can only be good, because when I started, I didn't have a clue what I was doing. Half the terms that were getting said to me, I didn't know, you know, so it's a great founding for that. I think that they allow you to learn stuff and experience things that you would not learn in a university, or you know, you wouldn't learn with an online writing degree. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I just think hands-on is probably better. But two, I think soaps nowadays aren't just, you know, people arguing in a pub anymore. I think when you look at something like Casualty, which I think is a soap, you see things in that where they really stretch the bounds of what television can do. You know, they had a Bollywood version a couple of years ago, you know, they won the award for it. So I think that soaps give the opportunity for massive flights of fancy, you know. And they also teach you, which is really important, how to work on a budget. You know, it's massively important if you're writing a script, you know, to go in and for the producers to look at it and go, yeah, that could probably get made, I can afford that. I think that's a good lesson to learn, yeah. The experience, it's just that. It's also kind of, I was on the BBC Writers' Room Northwest group, and you had people coming in who I would never in a million years get the opportunity to listen to. You know, people who would come in and talk about commissioning, who would come in and talk about theatre and radio opportunities and stuff. It's also a calling card. If you can get onto those schemes, it's a calling card. It's a way of other people getting to know you. You know, people start to see your faces and get to know your faces. I mean, one of the first people I met at a BBC Writers' Room event, that it was online applications, you just want to go to this event, and I went, and it was in Stratford, which is a bit of a hike from Liverpool, but I went down to Stratford in East London, and I met Helen Black, who, Helen is a force of nature who went on to write Time too. And when I met Helen, neither of us had written anything for television, but it was a great thing that we're still mates. You know, we're hoping to collaborate one day together, and it was, and by the way as well, I'm Britain's worst networker. So it was Helen who come over and put me in a headlock and started talking to me, you know. But it's, if you're finding it difficult to headlock, don't find it difficult to headlock. If you're finding it difficult to network, don't headlock anyone. If you're finding it difficult to network, it's just go anyway. You'll learn stuff. Why would you not want to learn stuff? Go. Apply now.